For more insight on the work of China's top legislature, we're joined in the studio by Professor He JiaHong from China's Renmin University and Mr. Edward Lehman. Thank you very much for joining us, gentlemen. So first of all, Professor He, give us a general idea of the role that China's top legislature plays in the country's political establishment.
I think the NPC is taking the job as making basis for legal system in China. And in the last 30 years, it has made great achievements in making laws. You know, during the Cultural Revolution, we had barely no laws. And since the late 1970s, more than 200 of laws have been passed by the National People's Congress. So if we just look at the laws on paper, our system is pretty good now. And this is the achievement of the Standing Committee and the National People's Congress.
So from your observation, what are the highlights of the top legislature's work in 2012?
I would say the number one highlight is the passing of amendment to criminal procedure law. I would give two reasons. The first reason, it has been working on that for more than 10 years. In 2001, the Legislative Committee of Standing Committee and the National People's Congress invited some legal experts, including myself, to make some preparation for amendment to criminal procedure law. And at the time, we focused on the criminal evidence rules, and also we toured to some European countries to learn the lesson from them. And since 2003, the Standing Committee of National People's Congress put it into the legislative schedule. But last Congress failed to make it as a law. And this Congress took it, and since 2001, I think they worked very hard to make the drafts. And also, you know that in September of 2002, they published the draft and asked common people to make comments and suggestions, and thousands of comments and suggestions collected. So I think they got attention nationwide. So I would say this is the greatest highlight of legislation last year.
Absolutely. So what's your opinion, Edward?
Yeah, PanDeng, I would say, PanDeng, I agree, criminal procedure law is the utmost importance, and that probably is the greatest impact to people. But it also, you know, for foreigners, and it's just interesting to note, I mean, we've got about 3,000 legislators. This is the largest parliament in the world. Mm-hmm. And like Professor He said, I mean, this is a difficult process, so I think they're doing a fine job to try to get up to date. For foreigners, the implementation of the exit and entry immigration law, let's call it that just generally, I think that is going to be an impact. That's going to be implemented on July 1st of 2013, mm-hmm. and that may be, they're going to put harsher laws and regulations. For example, if you're an employer and you're a foreigner and you don't pay people, mm-hmm. they will prohibit you from leaving the country. They'll also have penalties in place that if you don't pay people correctly. So these could be both criminal and civil type of procedures. But I think these are all moving in the positive direction. So I think that's important. The internet law as well. I mean, they're looking at that, the impact, and this is a very difficult thing because you've got to bring together trade and commerce, which is a very important thing. You've got 700 million users or 500 million users. I think they're anticipating moving up to 700 million users on the internet. How do we have social order, but also how do we have commerce that's adequately represented in the internet? So I think these are things they're going to grapple with as well, and these have been touched on. Professor?
He mentioned that the civil litigation. Yes, last year the Standing Committee of National People's Congress also passed the amendment to civil procedure law. Mm-hmm. So it was also a highlight of the legislation, not like the amendment to criminal procedure law. The amendment to criminal procedure law was passed by the National People's Congress last March. The amendment to civil procedure law was passed by the Standing Committee, but they have the similar effect. Mm-hmm. Although the civil procedure law was not so interested by the comment makers, mm-hmm. The experts and the public, because it seems that the criminal procedure law was more involved with people's human rights.
Correct. Correct.
But are they equally important?
And I agree with Professor He. I mean, I think that they're very